Hey everybody, this is Art Haywood, State Senator and President of ADA. Welcome to our 75th award ceremony. We're so glad to recognize and honor some tremendous national leaders. We want to recognize Jonathan Capehart, journalist and columnist. We want to recognize Gar LaMarche, advocate and progressive leader for many years. We want to recognize my hometown Congresswoman, Marcy Kaptur from Toledo, Ohio. And we want to recognize Tori Huster, President of the National Women's Professional Soccer League Players Association. All of these individuals have done tremendous work and provided leadership for our nation as we try to do all that we can to save our nation from disaster. Thank you all for participating, and thank you for your efforts to save our democracy. Thank you.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
The New York City Gay Men's Chorus.
Hello, my name is Kurt Meyer, and I serve as chair of the ADA Executive Committee. We have outstanding honorees this evening. My only regret is that I cannot interact with them personally, as we all would have pre-COVID. But we have even more than these remarkable individuals to honor this evening. We're celebrating our 75th anniversary as ADA, and certainly this event is a high point in our calendar. We're not merely marking the occasion, we're celebrating. Our anniversary theme is 75 years of action. The best is yet to come. And if our best is in the future, we need your support. It can come in several ways, for example, by check or by electronic contribution. If you haven't already made your celebratory gift to ADA, won't you please do so now? You can reach us online at adaction.org, or you can mail a check to Americans for Democratic Action, 1629 K Street Northwest, Suite 300, Washington, D.C. 20006. Thanks in advance for your generosity. Now enjoy this great event.
Hello, I'm Don Kusler, ADA National Director. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your support of ADA's work. Without your support, ADA wouldn't be able to do the advocacy and voter education work that we know is so important. It's easy at a time like this, ADA's 75th anniversary, to conjure up images of ADA giants such as Eleanor Roosevelt, Ken Galbraith, and Walter Ruther, Patsy Mink, Barney Frank, Lynn Woolsey, Paul Wellstone, and so many others. Our giant movements, maybe. ADA's been engaged in workers' rights, women's rights, civil rights. But of course, now we need to defend and expand our American democratic system. ADA, of course, is deep into that fight as well by speaking up, taking action through organizing door to door and making phone calls and texts in dozens of elections in key states. ADA is honoring that legacy, but looking to the future. Somewhere out there on the front lines of ADA's work today are the next generation of giants. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce our first awardee. ADA's Ruther Chavez Workers' Rights Award has been given to labor leaders, activists, and movements. We are honored to have Tori Huster, representing the National Women's Soccer League Players Association, as our 2022 Ruther Chavez awardee. ADA is so proud of Tori's leadership and of the members of the NWSLPA and their perseverance in negotiating and securing their first of a kind collective bargaining agreement. Thank you, Tori. We look forward to working with you in the future.
Hello, everyone. I am Tori Huster, Washington Spirit soccer player and president of the NWSL Players Association, our league's players union. Congratulations to the other nominees this year. I'm proud to be amongst this impressive group of individuals. I'm grateful to be this year's Ruther Chavez honoree, especially as the Americans for Democratic Action celebrate 75 years of activism. The same year that the ADA celebrates their 75th gala, we also as a nation get to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX, a law that was authored by one of your former presidents, Patsy T. Mink. That law has had a profound impact on the lives of women, not just in sports, but is a huge reason why women across the world have excelled and are constantly breaking the glass ceilings around them. Our work these past 2 years with the Players Association and the signing of our first ever CBA earlier this year has broken down several barriers that female athletes are experiencing. With access to higher salaries, better facilities, and also for the first time ever, free agency, we are continuing to push for rights and freedoms within our sport. With the momentum we created with the NWSLPA, we were proud to stand alongside our sisters at the U.S. Women's National Team PA as they signed their recent contract that gave the women that represent our country on the world stage equal pay to the men's team. To make strides and to make change, it takes blood, sweat, and tears. Pushing for progress is not easy, as you may well know, but even with progress, it is all that more imperative to continue the fight. Those that came before us got us here, and I believe it is our duty to make it easier on the next generation to solve the problems that they may face. Thank you again for the honor today. I am proud to be amongst those fighting for similar causes, and I'm excited about what the future holds.
Look around you. You are not alone. Behold your numbers as far as the eye can see. You are working men and women who have come here with your friends and your allies because you care deeply about the course of your country. Your testimony must be heard.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come.
We meet today in freedom's cause and raise our voices high. We join our hands in union strong to battle or to die.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come.
Well, look, my comrades, see the Union banners waving high. reinforcements now appearing, victory is nigh.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come. Little banjo now. Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come.
We see our numbers, they're still increasing, and hear the bugle blow. By our union, we will triumph over every foe.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come.
I got one now.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come.
Well, fierce and long the battle rages, but we will not fear. Help will come whene'er it's needed. Cheer, my comrades, cheer.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side, we'll battle onward. Victory will come. Hold the fort.
Let us all pledge to each other to return to our communities and to build a new mandate for a just and humane America in the spirit of solidarity forever.
I'm Sherrod Brown. It's an honor and a privilege to serve Ohioans in the United States Senate. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce my longtime friend of close to 40 years and colleague, Marcy Kaptur, ADA's 2022 recipient of the Francis Perkins Public Service Award. And I might say that I'm not sure that anybody in public office, any woman in public office since Francis Perkins has quite been Francis Perkins. And I would say nobody deserves this award more than Marcy. She's a legend. She's dedicated her life to serving Ohio, to fighting for the values embodied by Francis Perkins and by Americans for Democratic Action. The idea that government should always be on the side of workers. Governing public service come down to one question. Whose side are you on? You're on the side of America's large corporations who lay people off, discriminate, outsource jobs? Or are you on the side of workers? Are you on the side of Wall Street, which takes advantage and often damages communities like where I grew up in Mansfield or Norwalk or Sandusky or Lorraine? Are you on the side of consumers? Are you on the side of drug companies who too often deny life-saving drugs to people? Or are you on the side of patients? Well, with Marcy Kaptur, you don't have to think about the answer. She's always stood up for Americans. She's always stood up to corporate special interests over and over. Through her whole career. She taught me when I was a freshman congressman about outsourcing and trade and all the damage that the government teaming up with America's special interest corporations have done when they to cause plants to shut down in Ohio and move overseas. So listening to Marcy, working with Marcy's help, we've secured important wins for Ohio and for the country. Look at what we've done just these last few years. From the PACT Act for veterans to new solar investment in Toledo, the Butch Lewis Act for 100,000 Ohio retirees, Marcy Kaptur, you are so deserving of this award. Congratulations. Thank you for your work, your friendship, your leadership, and your commitment to our great state. Marcy, so many of us love you. Thank you.
Hello to our friends from across the country joining us this evening as we celebrate 75 years of Americans for Democratic Action. Right now in our country, the very fabric of our society and of our democracy is being tested. The political disagreements of the past have given way to an environment in which the truth is readily discarded for fiction, where the rule of law is ignored and even violently attacked, and where the sacred rights of tens of millions of Americans are being stripped away. The fight we have before us is one to ensure workers and families are able to attain their own version of the American dream, not be exploited by corporations and CEOs. The fight we have before us is one to ensure women are able to make their own health care and reproductive decisions, not have their lives dictated to them by strangers who have gerrymandered state houses and a Supreme Court that overturns 50 years of established precedent. The fight that we have before us is one to ensure seniors are able to live with dignity, that we protect and conserve our environment, and that our precious democracy is preserved and strengthened for each and every American. This is the fight I'm focused on each and every day. And this is the fight Americans for Democratic Action is engaged in neighborhoods and communities all across our country. We appreciate you so much. You're all knocking on doors, calling and texting voters, and reminding folks that what happens in November is being decided right here and right now in every community. I'm honored to be recognized here this evening alongside so many other champions for democracy. The work that we have ahead of ourselves is a heavy lift, but it is so very vital to the future of our nation. I want to thank every one of you for all of your efforts and commitment to the mission and for your tireless fight for democracy. Together, we will continue delivering for the American people now, tomorrow, and all the days ahead. Together, we will win in November. Thank you all so very, very much.
Congratulations on 75 years to our friends at Americans for Democratic Action. That's 75 years of action, 75 years of standing up for our democracy, 75 years of advocacy, 75 years of fighting for our values, and as we say at the AFT, 75 years of caring, fighting, and showing up for the issues that matter most and that make a difference in people's lives. ADA has a long history advocating for civil rights and a voice for working people. Among your earliest leaders were Walter Ruther and A. Philip Randolph, progressive union leaders who lived these values. We at AFT are honored to continue to stand with you for another 75 years, and particularly as we focus on the next couple of months leading up to these midterm elections, fighting for good jobs and right to a union, for high-quality, affordable health care, for public services, including public education, and to counter the discrimination, the division, and the hate as we protect the right to vote, the integrity of our elections, and our democracy. Protecting our democratic principles is both patriotic and righteous. Thank you for your hard work, your partnership, and your continued commitment to giving a voice to everyone who believes in democracy and believes that democracy is not a spectator sport. Happy anniversary.
Congratulations, ADA, on your 75th anniversary, and to all the 2022 awardees. When I heard that my friend Gara LaMarche was being honored with the Newman Lifetime Award, I thought, oh, how fitting and appropriate. I'm sure Gara thought, however, I have a lot more life to live and more progressive change I want to make. But that's exactly why it's time to honor you with the Newman Award. It's for your indefatigable commitment to racial and social justice and to opening doors for all people, but particularly women and people of color. From your time at ACLU, where you were a young, probably the youngest, I think, executive director of a state chapter, the Texas ACLU, to your work at Human Rights Watch, where you expanded that organization's work to include LGBTQ rights as human rights at a time when most were not talking about that, to your work at Open Society Institute, where you launched a new division called the U.S. Programs, and now we know it as Open Society Foundation. You launched a set of programs that, again, focused on social justice and democracy, things like criminal justice reform and public health. And that was a natural stepping stone to your work to lead Atlantic Philanthropies, where at that time you were bold and courageous and oversaw the single largest philanthropic contribution to an advocacy campaign that we've ever seen, or at least saw at that time, toward our effort to pass comprehensive healthcare reform. Gara, I know that I probably speak for millions and millions of people when I say thank you. Millions of people are alive today because you took that bold and courageous step to invest in the community's campaign to win the Affordable Care Act. It has been life-changing, and I think you know that. But you went on, you didn't stop there. You went on to lead the Democracy Alliance, where I was honored to work by your side, in which you led a very ideologically diverse group of progressive donors to a vision around an inclusive, working, sustainable democracy, economy, and planet, and an equitable society. You are a visionary. You are a prolific and insightful writer. You are a provocateur. You have challenged people to apply a race, gender, class analysis to all of our work so that we are leaning in to justice and equity. You've done so at times when it wasn't cool, wasn't popular, and hard to do, and you continue to do that. But I think the thing that doesn't jump out in any kind of CV or written biography about you is you are funny, you are brilliant, but most of all, you are generous with your time and your mentorship and becoming a teacher to all of us about so much, about the world, about how change is made, about how never to give up. Those contributions that you have embedded in so many of us who've had the opportunity to work with you will live on as part of your legacy. It is so fitting that ADA chose to honor you with the Newman Lifetime Award. Congratulations, Gara, my friend. You deserve it.
It's a great honor to be recognized by Americans for Democratic Action, particularly on the occasion of their 75th anniversary. I was proud and also honored to serve as a board member of ADA in years past. And for my entire time of political consciousness, Americans for Democratic Action has been a beacon of progressive values that I've learned a lot from and that I've looked to. I remember growing up when I eagerly sought to find out who the ADA was endorsing in presidential elections, because it was based on a set of values, progressive values, that stood above, tactical considerations or pragmatic considerations, grounded in the belief in civil liberties and respect for civil rights, social justice and economic justice, and human rights in international relations as well. The ADA pioneered, in my view, in promoting accountability for office holders for many, many years. Again, we all look to the ratings and rankings of Americans for Democratic Action to see how our lawmakers voted with respect to upholding liberal and progressive values. Because it was important not only to elect people, but to keep an eye on what they were doing while in office and to hold them accountable to the platforms and the principles they stood on when they ran for office. So today, on the occasion of the ADA's 75th anniversary, the values that the ADA stands for could hardly be more relevant and more urgent. I'm proud to stand with the members of the Americans for Democratic Action in upholding and promoting those values for the next 75 years at a time when we can no longer take for granted some of the basic principles of democracy. The very word, democratic action, in the name of the ADA is really on the line today, given the forces that we face, in a way that very few of us could have imagined was the case when the ADA came into being not long after the defeat of fascism in World War II. So I stand with you. I thank you very much for this honor, and I look forward to fighting together and struggling together in the years to come. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to Americans for Democratic Action for 75 years of important advocacy in the vision of government of, by, and for the people. You've worked on so many important issues, including voting rights, including fair drug prices for Americans across the board, including, in my mind, a very important issue of restoring the functionality of the Senate. Let's keep fighting for that vision. America, a government of, by, and for the people. Congratulations, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead.
Anthem for America. It feels more relevant now than ever. Listen now, my people of our ununited nation, a country that was born of freedom's declaration, of paper-written dreams that haven't quite come true. America, I love what you can still maybe do. America, remember the promises you made to those who came here wanting to believe in what you said of justice and peace and a land that's really free. America, I love what you can still maybe be. America, do you listen to starving children cry who cannot understand the reason for their dying? It's time to lay the weapons down, my brothers, can't you see? America, I love what you can still maybe be. Oh God, you are so patient with the slowness of our pace, and still there are so many who can't see your troubled face. People, there are others here besides just you and me. America, I love what you can still maybe be. America, I love what you can still maybe be.
I'm Eleanor Clift, and I'm here to introduce award winner Jonathan Capehart. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning associate editor of the Washington Post. Since 2007, he's been an opinion writer and a member of the Post editorial board. He hosts a weekly podcast called, appropriately, Capehart, and he hosts the weekly Washington Post live show called First Look. In addition to his Post duties, he anchors a Sunday show on MSNBC, and his conversation with Barack Obama, A Promised Land, was nominated for an Emmy in 2021. And if that isn't enough, Jonathan has proved a worthy successor to the late Mark Shields on the PBS NewsHour Friday evening segments Sparring with David Brooks, which has been appropriately retitled Brooks and Capehart. The biography that his husband, Nick, provided highlights Jonathan's popularity as a moderator in venues where he is known for his progressive views and his even-handedness, places like the 92nd Street Y and the Aspen Ideas Festival. Jonathan began his journalism career at the New York Daily News, where he served on the editorial board and where he and the editorial board won a Pulitzer for editorial writing in 1999, when they sustained a 16-month campaign to save the iconic Apollo Theater in Harlem. There's a lot for journalism to save these days. And so on behalf of the ADA, I want to thank you, Jonathan Capehart, for all that you've done, all that you will continue to do. And I know we can count on you to be on the case when we need you. Thank you.
Eleanor, thank you for presenting me with the James Wexler Integrity in Journalism Award. And how wonderful it is you to do it. As a young pup journalist, I read you in Newsweek and watched you faithfully on the McLaughlin Group. So it was a great thrill when I got to sit next to you on that famed McLaughlin set for the first time on December 11th, 2009. The passion you brought to every discussion and in our joint appearances on MSNBC served as a model of how to advocate for what one believes in. I am also honored to follow in the footsteps of not just Eleanor, but also my Washington Post colleague E.J. Dionne in receiving the James Wexler Integrity in Journalism Award. Now, as you all know, as editorial page editor of the New York Post, James Wexler was a prominent voice of American liberalism. Today, that editorial page is anything but. My newspaper career started on the editorial board of the other tabloid in New York City, the New York Daily News, in 1993. And even then, the New York Post was a reactionary enterprise that made our decidedly centrist editorials seem liberal. It was during my 9 years on the News's editorial board and now my 15 years on the Washington Post editorial board that I found my voice as a journalist, as a Black man, as an out gay man, as an American. But it was also during that time that I learned, fully understood what my role as a journalist was and remains. As an opinion writer, I have a megaphone, and with that megaphone comes a responsibility. When I first joined the Daily News editorial board, my editors, quoting Wexler, told me that our duty was to, quote, comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. As I learned, the comfortable aren't necessarily rich or powerful. They can be set in their ways, wedded to orthodoxy, or enforcing a value system on a community that isn't universally shared. But I also learned that there were whole swaths of people for whom I spoke. They would let me know by sidling up to me quietly at events and whisper, "Keep going. Your work is important. Thank you for saying what I can't." Because of them, I realized then the public criticism from the comfortable was a badge of honor. What my editors didn't tell me was the rest of what Wexler said in that famous comment. He went on to say, quote, "Too many newspapers have forgotten the word or grown so fat and comfortable themselves that they view the phrase as inflammatory." My entire career has been an exercise in trying to never grow fat, never get comfortable. I still hold the mirror up to anyone who feels comfortable using their power or their point of view to drown out the voices of others. And I have not been shy about holding the mirror up to myself when information shows that I've gotten something wrong. My integrity requires nothing less. I will keep writing and talking about racial injustice, about equality for LGBTQ Americans, and I will never back down in fighting for democracy that gives us a collective voice in our society, and more specifically, makes my national voice possible. So I can't thank you enough for giving me the James Wexler Integrity in Journalism Award and the humbling recognition that comes with it.
Hey, everybody, at Americans for Democratic Action 75th Anniversary Awards Gala Party. It's Jamie Raskin coming to you from Capitol Hill. I represent Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District. I'm a big fan of ADA, your glorious history, your commitment to your middle name, democracy, everything you're doing to fight the kleptocrats and the autocrats and the theocrats and the bullies and the despots and the dictators and the enemies of strong political and economic democracy in America. So these are the times that try men and women's souls. And so, we don't need any summer soldiers and sunshine patriots. We need the enduring long-term distance runner Democratic patriots like you guys. So thank you for everything you're doing. I want to salute your great honorees tonight, Gara LaMarche, who's been such an amazing and significant advocate for democracy, for freedom, for civil society, and for a strong social sector that defends civil society. Jonathan Capehart, a great and exciting and irresistible journalist whose stuff is must read for strong Democrats across the country. My beloved colleague, Representative Marcy Kaptur, who is the voice of the American heartland from my perspective and does such an extraordinary job building coalitions for us to defend strong labor rights and to defend human rights all over the world and to defend social progress. And congratulations also to Tori Huster, the president of the National Women's Professional Soccer League Players Association. And I think she's playing center halfback or midfield for the Washington Spirit. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your great sportswomanship. And please remember tonight and over the next 70 days, tell your children, tell your grandchildren, tell every young person you know to get out and vote. And everything that you need to know about voting is everything you need to know about driving. If you want to go forward, you put it in D. If you want to go backwards, you put it in R. That pretty much sums it up. Go hang tough for democracy for everybody and stay in close touch. Congratulations, ADA.
This is ADA Iowa organizer Chris Schwartz. For nearly 8 years, my husband Logan Buckley was a fierce leader within ADA, first as a student chapter president, later a staffer, and then a board member. Logan made countless contributions to ADA and the progressive movement. Logan was a visionary with an impatience for injustice, someone who always was ready for less talking and more action. Logan's death is a tragedy beyond words, from which I shall never fully recover. We can honor his life and carry his light by doing the work he would have done, by making the changes he would have made, and by not ever backing down from what is good and just. One of Logan's many talents was his singing voice. Making music together was a special part of our relationship. Logan was especially inspired by the music of the labor and civil rights movement. As we reflect on the life of Logan Buckley and what his work means to ADA, please enjoy our recording of Florence Reese's Which Side Are You On?, written in 1931 in support of the United Mine Workers uprising in Harlan County, Kentucky.
I'll tell of how that good old Union has come in here to dwell. Which side are you on? 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 My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner's son. And I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won. Which side are you on? 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 They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug of J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? 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 Workers, can you stand it? Or tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab, or will you be a man? Which side are you on? 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 Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks don't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
Hi, Kurt Meyer again. I'm enjoying this celebration immensely. I will enjoy it again in several days when I learn how much financial support was generated from good people like you. As you know, this is an election year, and ADA efforts are aimed at voter awareness, at education, and at turnout. Eventually, it's a numbers game. If the right people, with the right information, turn out in the right numbers, this country will be much stronger for the next 2 years. Imagine, for 75 years, ADA has altered the course of American history, sometimes modestly, sometimes significantly. We should all take great pride in this, but the battle continues. This is one of those historic hinge points. If you haven't already made a generous gift to ADA, you can do so online at adaction.org, or you can mail a check to Americans for Democratic Action, 1629 K Street, Northwest, Suite 300, Washington, D.C., 20006. Thanks much.